Welcome to Off the Cuff ABQ. I'm your host, Dinah Vargas. It's a next level of conservative talk radio. It's created from dirt. It exists because New Mexicans have been ignored for far too long. If you're one of those New Mexicans, you ought to be tuning in. Thanks for riding with me. Let's take it off the cuff. Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Cuff ABQ Talk Radio. I'm your host, Dinah Vargas. Writing with me today is Janice Arnold Jones. What's happening?
Good morning, Dinah.
Everyone's so loud this morning. It's day after Sunday. It's what we call Mandate Monday.
Mandate Monday?
Yeah, I don't like Manic Mondays. Everybody should just be prepared for a Monday. Mondays are the day after Sunday. You know?
Well, I don't know about you, but I am renewed, refreshed. Mm-hmm. I am excited. And while I didn't go by every church in town, but I'm telling you what, church parking lots were packed. This is a good thing. And it was interesting. I was actually at a political meeting earlier in the week, and people from different parties were coming together saying, finally, we can worship together. And it was that was I thought I know you guys, I know you disagree, and yet you agree on that, and that was really nice.
Well, yeah, hopefully if the other party agrees on that, then they'll sail over this way, because Republican Party is open for new memberships is what I hear. Because there's going to be a lot of people, I'm guessing, that are going to find themselves displaced in a political chaos, shakedown, the stronghold of the Democratic Party. It's naturalistic in nature, and therefore being probably the primary stronghold of New Mexico.
Interesting. But I early in the morning I do listen to Fox Business, just so you know, because it's important to me to hear about what's happening to various businesses, because that's the basis of what we do. And there was I wish I could remember who the interviewee was, but they were talking about how the Hispanic community is rejecting the Biden administration's efforts and moving towards the Republican Party, and most especially that they were offended by the term Latinx or Latinx, and that was just flat out offensive, and that. But the bottom line is that the Republican Party also needs to stand firm and offer something different. And when I say stand firm, it's really easy to vote for a bill that has some good stuff, but it has some really bad stuff. It's really hard to stand firm when you say, I appreciate the good stuff, but there's really bad stuff in it, and I can't condone it, and so I have to vote no. That's called backbone, and I think that's what people are looking for.
Yes. I think so too. I think it's going to boil down to that, because good grief, good God Almighty, there's hardly anything here to take. It's like one big, huge garage sale, it seems like, under the current administration. But the current administration is the same as it's always been for 90 years. So it doesn't matter if it's really that one or the other one.
So did you catch yesterday's article about the drug trade, the new cartel drug pipeline between Arizona and New Mexico? And Dinah, it was just, I'm thinking, who's writing this? So the gist of the article is that this new drug pipeline is run by white supremacists who are in cahoots with the Sinaloa cartel. Would you like for me to repeat that? Is that bizarre?
Just one more time for the listeners.
Sure. It's the white supremacist group in coordination and in collaboration with the Sinaloa cartel.
So, but
I was going, what?
So by its own definition, it would be the cartel, because cartel isn't necessarily drugs, right? But I mean, regardless who's bringing them over, even if that's remotely true, which I doubt that it is, good grief. But fentanyl for sure is Mexico related, whether it's Mexicans bringing it over or somebody from the, by way of Mexico.
It made me wonder is this a planted story?
Of course it is.
Because in my experience watching what the Sinaloa cartel does, it's a relatively close community. Why would they bring in white supremacists from who knows where.
And then brag about it.
Right.
And then brag about it.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because they have enough recruitment themselves,
Exactly.
I'm guessing. But here's another thing. Like, cartel has always worked across all party lines, correct?
Amazing, isn't it?
Amazing. So they don't discriminate. Absolutely, they do not discriminate. The only problem they will have is if you don't have what you call payola. I'm guessing, right? So are we to think that the Mexican cartel doesn't sell to like even white supremacist biker gangs? Of course they do.
Of course they do. I think they are in business. I may not like their business, but their goal is to make money.
I think they're like this as long as there's money.
Yeah.
Because they don't discriminate against anybody, even their own kind. Or no?
And no, I absolutely agree with you. And there was no doubt that all of those drugs, especially fentanyl, was part of it. Mm-hmm. And the end of this story did say that that they may be starting to sell to young children.
Aren't they already?
Last time I checked.
I'm like, isn't that a problem already with all the fentanyl overdoses?
Right.
Do you know how many overdoses of fentanyl New Mexico has?
I have no idea.
A ton, like higher than the average in the nation. And a lot of it's coming out of northern New Mexico.
Which reminds me of, we are such a poor state. And of course, marijuana is now legal, recreational. And so we spent $6 million in 2 days on recreational marijuana. Why do we have such a hard time with money management? This just seems bizarre to me. But we are lucky enough to have in the House a gubernatorial candidate, and perhaps she could shed some light on where our thinking has gone wrong.
Yes, so we have Ethel Maharg. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great.
You're gubernatorial candidate, running to have the highest seat in the state.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that I get to serve my state in a greater capacity and change all these things that have been going on for decades, 90 years, and bring our state back to what it needs to be, and that it needs to go back to the people. And I mean, just hearing all these stories breaks my heart. I've been really thinking, it's like, why are you running? Why are you running? And I have to be careful, or I'll just sit here and make myself cry, because I think I love my state. People don't understand the depth of the love I have for my state, and I really, really, I could leave. My daughter left last year for Texas. She moved. She goes, Mom, I can't do it anymore. I can't stay here. And it broke my heart, to see that. And then she wanted me to go and follow her. And she says, come on. She goes, it's so much better here. And I said, honey, God didn't call me to Texas. He called me here to New Mexico. And so I'm here. And she says, but you're in a sinking ship. And I said, so I will go down swinging. And so that's how I feel is, we are facing some real crises in our state, but I don't think that it is something that it's irreparable. I think that we still have hope. At least I do. I'm an eternal optimist, so I believe that we still have hope for our state. And I'm running because, one, I was called to run. I believe that God called me to run. And the other thing is that I love my state with all my heart, and I'm going to do everything I can to change it, to fix what needs breaking, and just getting together with New Mexicans and giving back the power to the people, because that's where it needs to go, because that's not the way it is at all right now.
So Ethel, what we were just talking about, we have this cartel running fentanyl, we have legalized marijuana, and our people are spending money on these things that are hurting them and hurting their families. How do we change that heart set?
Janice, oftentimes I have a prayer group with my pastor and several of us, and I said oftentimes I feel more like a preacher than a politician. I said, because really it is a heart issue. It is a heart issue that we have here in New Mexico, and you've heard my closing statements all the time. The problem is that we walked away from God. And we think it's okay. I mean, we are the abortion capital of the world. We don't abide, our Constitution. We allow it to be trampled on. And I say that we allow it because we allowed for our churches to be closed for over a year. So yes, we allow those things to take place, and we didn't fight back, right? Not really. And then we forget that our country was built on biblical principles. So we've forgotten all those things. Our kids don't know that, but it's actually prophesied. There'll be a generation that does not know God.
Well, in fact, it'll be the generation of the end times.
Yeah, and so
the depraved.
Yeah, so they don't know. So our job, I think, it's something that we really can't do. That is going to be a God thing, really, because we have. But we need to at least lead in that direction. And so that is my hope, is that we would lead people to that, because we can't change these things with just laws. Now, of course, having a governor that calls, I was thinking about this. She called a special session for that. I'm like, really? That was that important that she called a special session? Wasted New Mexico tax dollars to bring back the legislators to pass a marijuana bill that will ultimately destroy us.
And even if you're pro marijuana, I mean, who really wants the state of New Mexico to be the drug dealer?
Yeah.
Well,
it amazes me.
Yeah.
It is not a good deal. And while we're talking about that governor, let me remind you, she called a second special session.
She did.
And in the regular session, she was advocating for a bill that was going to add 50 cents a gallon tax increase. There were other tax increases as well, but she advocated for that, and then has the temerity to call another special session to give you a tax rebate, which should have been her first thought. And now she's worried about the cost of gasoline. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, really.
I mean, is this disingenuous?
And then trying to give the money away, right, in these rebates checks and things like this, but also I think there was an additional fund set aside for people, and it was like first come, first serve or something like this, like as if they were going to hand out cash. But anybody was going to qualify for it as long as you applied or something like that for it.
Filed your tax return.
But if you didn't and you happen to be of illegal status,
right,
of whichever country you came from, like meaning not U.S. citizen or American, they were just going to give out taxpayer dollars. Is there such a thing as free money?
No.
It's the public's money.
That is going to cost us. I mean, it's already costing us everything. Biden, the printing of money, that, there's no such thing as free. It is going to cost. And the worst part about it, it's not going to just cost us. It's going to cost our children, grandchildren, many, many generations down the road. So there isn't anything free. And what she's doing here isn't giving free. Like you said, they should have cut that in the legislative session. But right now, she called it special so that she could say, vote for me. That's basically what that's about.
That's what that was about.
That's what that was about.
And what is gratifying is right now, today, New Mexicans see that exactly for what it is. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to take the checks, and maybe it will buy their vote. But I think there are more thinking New Mexicans than that.
Yeah, I believe so too. I believe that I've seen that everywhere I've been going campaigning. You're seeing people in droves coming in, and even as we are getting our final signatures, we had people say, "Oh, we'll change because we want you in office." They changed from both Democrat and Independent over to Republicans. So I have seen the turning of, the guard, basically changing of the guard.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's like a paradigm shift of some sort, because I mean, at some point, we're going to have to look at all of our troubles and understand our political problems are because of this absence of God. Because who advocates at the highest level of a state to target children, in particular of color? And I use their words, not my words, So persons of color, I think it's 54% of Hispanics are being targeted in the womb for late-term abortions.
Yes.
And then we look at the story of Hobbs, New Mexico, and I have no idea why people's are up in arms about it, or slightly offended that a mother threw her child away in a plastic bag into a dumpster. Here's why: because don't we do that already with late-term abortion?
All the
because
time.
it goes inside the trash bag. You got to tie it up and you got to put it in some sort of trash container.
We do that every day.
So what's the difference? I don't understand, So it seems like it's a bunch of hypocrisy over there.
Yeah.
So speaking of, I'm going to take two left-handers. So two things come to mind. So one, we're talking about free. And scripturally, the apostles were told that you must work. You must take care of yourself. There was nothing free.
That's right.
And so how did we miss that lesson?
It says plainly, if you don't work, you don't eat. And we have missed that terribly.
But we've told people that we're going to take care of them.
That's
And
it.
every time we take care of them, we make their lives worse.
We do. It's called
A disservice.
you know what it's called? It's called vote for me. I'm going to take care of you. Here's a little check, and it's not enough to survive on. It's just a little bit of, it's like that carrot. I was telling my grandson about it. The carrot in front, the carrot and the stick.
Carrot and stick, yeah.
In order to get you, vote for me. And people keep pressing that button, voting for the D because, they're going to take care of me. And they never get taken. They get taken care of, okay. But not the way that's best for them. And it's hard to break that cycle for people, so... Yeah, they don't get taken care of. They taken advantage of. They are being bought basically, and I feel bad about that. But people are seeing that. People are saying no thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I still think there's a whole group of people that just refuse to go back to work. I mean, a lot of these even drive-throughs are from $12 to $15 an hour, and I remember the whole. New Mexico was trying to pass $15 an hour, that it was a livable wage and all of this, and come to find out $15 is still the minimum wage, and it's still the minimum wage job that nobody wants.
There you go. There you go. So I have another question. Since you are running for the highest office of our state, we've had several horrific wildfires again. And while prescribed burns are never set by the state of New Mexico. They are set by government agencies that are never held accountable. What do you make of this, and what might you do about it? Because let me be clear, there are a couple of these wildfires that were started by downed power lines, and I will hold those people accountable. But the ones that started from prescribed burns. And in April, when we have wind, we do this repeatedly. How can you break this cycle? How can you break this cycle of these federal agencies that don't think about New Mexico?
Or New Mexicans.
Right. There's a saying goes, common sense ain't so common. We need to understand that we are New Mexico. We are not New York. We're not Washington. And, I operated, believe it or not, I also operated a bank for a major bank. And, they always set their policies for Albuquerque. Well, I was in Cuba. I mean, it just doesn't compute. And I was like, no, you cannot hold the people here in this little community to the same standards because it's very, very poor there.
It's a dusty town.
Compared to Albuquerque. It's kind of the same idea that you wanted to hold the same banking policies. Well, it didn't apply. The policies themselves legally and things like that, fine, but their numbers, it just wouldn't work. Same thing we need to fight back to Washington and say, we ain't Washington. You know what? The winds blow like crazy in April. You want to start us all on fire? Because this isn't the first year.
Not even.
No, and it's like, come on, folks. Push back and say, this really isn't good for our state. We need to wait until X time of year, and so that the winds won't take our state. Because like I said, this isn't the first year. I've seen that happen so many times that they like.
I was with the Los Alamos fire. I was just so devastating, and it was a prescribed burn at Bandelier. And
I remember there wasn't a cloud in the sky, but yet there was just this big poof from Albuquerque that you can see in the sky, and it was the smoke. So where are the efforts to help the displaced people from the fires? Because I remember Los Alamos, there was a ton of it.
I would say, and it's all coming from New Mexicans.
Right.
But there comes a point at which you cannot allow bad decision-making that is causing great harm.
How many homes have been burned?
Over 200.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And in Los Alamos, it was over 400. And people died.
Yes.
People died. This is not a joke.
No, it isn't. It isn't. But It's all part of the plan, I think.
So, but how would you manage these federal agencies? You know, in this case, there are 6 federal agencies that are involved in the prescribed birds. It's not just the Forest Service; it's BLM, and I'm not sure of the fire in Ruidoso. Jury is still out, but I think that one might have been a Forest Service burn. How as a governor do you think you can work with these agencies?
I just work with them and say, you need to, okay, we need to go to Washington or communicate with Washington that is not the optimal time, and we're not going to do that.
And we're not, and they're not in charge.
No, they're not. New Mexico is a state. We're separate. I mean, we're in it, but we're separate, and we need to be able to manage our own state. And that's part of everything that we're doing right now. Even my race as governor, it's like this belongs to the people of New Mexico, not Washington D.C. And so we need to work with those organizations to set policies and say, you know what? If the wind's blowing, you just don't strike the match. That's just foolishness. And so I just think more common sense, basically. I think it's that simple, is work with agencies and to report to Washington. Say this would be detrimental to our state, and we're just not going to do it.
Well, I'm saying, and don't get me wrong, I believe that we have to maintain our forests. But every time this happens, I can't help but ask, okay, you knew there was a risk. Where was the suppression services standing by? The fire departments, the water services. So if the wind started to blow, you could quickly put this out. I never hear an answer to that.
Well, especially in rural New Mexico, most of the fire departments are operated by
volunteers,
a
right.
Complete volunteer.
Right. But isn't this the federal agency's responsibility?
Yes, it is. But I'm just saying, the downfall is always going to, it just kind of always lands on New Mexico.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Will you stand up for us?
Of course I will.
So I have a question about the 2016 bail bond reform. Are you in support of a possible repeal?
Yes, because, that is one of our top issues is crime. I was thinking about that, again, because of these special sessions. She called 2 special sessions, one to pass marijuana and one to give free money. And thinking, with crime being such a top issue, you would have thought that would have been the target of conversation. Okay, you know what? I would have supported a special session for just to fight crime, but no, that didn't happen. We passed pot and gave you money, and so yes, absolutely, we need to reform that because it'll bring relief to first our officers, and then the people of New Mexico. Without the officers, they can't do their job. They just can't do their job, or they try, because of the so-called revolving door. And so we need to provide help to these officers to be able to do their work because it's just not available. So we do need to reform the crime situation here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so I think any House candidate or Senate candidate could probably win on the single issue of crime.
Yep.
Because it's that bad. It's crime. It's crazy Albuquerque all the time, broad daylight. You and I, Janice, covered the story of the stabbing spree. So not only do we have shopping
You mean
sprees.
It's not the guns? Oh my gosh.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm sorry.
So here's the thing with violence, right? It's that if it's not about having the gun that makes you violent, it's the heart and hands behind it. So it doesn't matter if it's a gun, a car, a knife, a pair of scissors, a baseball bat.
Yeah,
I mean,
doesn't matter.
A violent person's a violent person,
Right.
and it could even be a screwdriver. What are we going to do? Outlaw screwdrivers?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all just not the ones with vodka in them. So what do you-
let me, if I might step on you right there. So I want to know, there are going to be legislative candidates, and they're going to say, yes, we have crime. We have to fight crime. And I'm just telling you, as a voter, that's not good enough. I want to know what you're going to do. I want to know how your proposals are actually going to translate to make me safer. And your candidate, I want to know.
Okay.
Well, before you answer, here's some of the answers I've gotten is that a lot of people aren't disclosing their crime plan because they're afraid other candidates will steal it. I'm kidding.
As I pull my jaw up off the table, and I know that this is a family program, but it does remind me of bovine fecal material.
What? Their plans?
Keeping it secret.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they don't have a plan, maybe. What's your plan?
I'm sorry.
I actually do, believe it or not.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I've been studying a lot of things, but I came across my contract with America from Newt Gingrich and David Armey back in 1994, and what they did is they put together a plan that would hold representatives that were running for office or that were in office. They would hold their feet to the fire and they would hold them accountable. And when they signed this contract, what they were saying is that they were going to abide by it, or there were serious consequences. And so what ended up happening was they designed this contract. So I'm stealing. Not really. I'm borrowing. I'm actually, and I actually reached out to a gentleman in Tennessee. But so I actually have a contract with New Mexico, and I'm just going to run down these. I only have 5 minutes, and it's like the first one is I pledge to end abortion. Number 2, revolutionize the education system, and that one has a ton of points under that. Number 3, parental rights, Bill of Rights. Number 4, rebuild broken rural parts of New Mexico. Number 5, pledge to protect oil and gas industry. Number 6, protect and preserve personal medical freedom. Number 7, make New Mexico safe again. So that's one of the points that I have. And number 8 is to end illegal immigration. And number 9 is to restore belief and integrity in our election. And number 10, this one is what you're going to see. Number 10, I'll just read you that one. It says, I pledge to put New Mexico first in everything I do. I will veto any legislation that does not serve New Mexico well. Veto. If it goes against our Constitution, veto. If it isn't good for New Mexicans, veto. If it puts New Mexicans out of work, veto. If it causes undue burdens through excessive tax policies, veto. If it allows killing of the most vulnerable, veto. If it hurts our kids, veto. And I'm not done. And then I have a signature line. Pretty soon you're going to see it actually on my website, because I do have a plan, and some of it I'm having to refine a little bit more, but I do have it. And as soon as I'm done, it's going to be on my website, and I'm going to sign it, and people could download it. And it's Ethel, the number 4, because we changed our website, ethel4gov.com. And when we're done, I'm going to let everybody know my contract is up. They can see what I stand for, what I'm going to sign my name to. Hold me to the fire, because I think that that's the problem, is that our representatives are not representing us. And we are supposed to be servant leaders and public servants. We forgot that servant part. We need to get back to that, and we need to be able to hold our people to the fire. So, like I said, I'm still working on this, but I wanted to bring it to tell you guys about this and let people know, New Mexico, that I'm prepared to sign my name to the plan that I have. And so when they see it, they can just download it and sign it. And if anybody I'm working with these people still to really refine it. So anyway, that's basically
but there's specifics in there.
Oh,
Right.
There is.
Right.
See, and that's what it just bothers. It's really one thing to say, oh yes, there's a lot of crime and we have to deal with crime. If you don't tell me what you're going to do, it's just talk.
Yeah, it is.
So I appreciate that. I appreciate a written plan.
Yes, and I have it. And I'm going to, I just heard a sheriff candidate, and he's really good. He was talking about, we have had 41, that was as of last week, murders already in New Mexico, in Albuquerque.
How many?
41. Okay. As of last Thursday. Okay.
In Albuquerque?
In Albuquerque. 41 murders already in Albuquerque.
Wow.
And so, and he
That's
was talking
wild.
about, the nonsense that goes on there, the infighting. Come on, folks. Wake up. It's time that we stop fighting each other and start fighting the problem that we have right now. Right. And so I'm going to work with agencies, and I'm going to go hunting other states, whatever it takes to bring it back here, because I don't happen to like reinventing the wheel, or beating my head against the wall. There's people that have already done things that are working. So why try to start something from nothing? I'm going to ask them. I just put in a call to Tennessee this morning to see about doing some, collaborating with some people there. So I'm looking all over the nation for the very best, and that includes our schools.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Because Ethel, we're both practical. We know you cannot do this by yourself.
Absolutely.
You have got to put a cabinet together that can actually execute this plan. Tell me how you are going to decide who to bring into this cabinet.
I'm going to decide people that basically have some experience. I think that that's the best thing to do. And, I said it at the bash, and somebody said, they jokingly asked me, what are you going to do about the budget? So I'm going to hire Zanetti. And, with
I thought that was exactly right.
Rebecca Dow she does have experience with school and early childhood, and why not? And Jay, Veterans Affairs, he also been a county commissioner. Mark, I'm looking, to see,
I would say, but you do need a spokesperson.
I do need a spokesperson. So yes, I am not. In fact, I tell people, look, I'm one person.
He could be your chief of staff, Mark.
How about PR spokesperson?
PR spokesperson, yeah.
There you go.
Or what about the weather guy?
Well, I would know if I needed an umbrella or not, right? So
all of these people that you've just mentioned, those are equally gubernatorial candidates. So
Right.
You've mentioned, just for the record, Rebecca Dow's running, Jay Block is running,
Mark Ronchetti,
Mark Ronchetti,
Zanetti,
and Greg Zanetti.
And Ethel Maharg.
And Ethel Maharg.
Who is the only person who has actually been an executive.
Yes.
You are currently the executive director of New Mexico Right to Life and a former mayor of
10 years.
Cuba, New Mexico.
Yes. I've served for 10 years in office. You know what? I had to do the most pleasant things, the most unpleasant. I've had to hire people, fire people. I've had to do the very difficult things. I've had to fight councils. I became the chief of police because my council wouldn't help me. And so I've done everything possible that I had to. So I know what it's like to run a business and and that's exactly what it is. When you're operating in that level, you're running a business. And as a chief elected official, I know how to do that. I've already done it. I spent 10 years in that. And so I know how to run the government. You're basically like a conductor, and you're putting all the pieces in place. You're putting, the right butts in the right seats on the bus. And so I know how to do that. And, but that's not the only thing I've done. I've been a business owner. I've been a school teacher. I've managed banks. I'm the chief executive over at Right to Life. So I have a lot of experience. And I've also worked in oil and gas. I've worked in a lot of fields. I have a lot of experience. So I know that I could get it done, and I'm not afraid.
Tell us your website one more time.
Ethel, ETHEL, 4, gov.com.
So visit Ethel there. You obviously have a team of volunteers.
I do.
And events coming up. So if you're interested in Ethel Maharg for the next governor of the great state of New Mexico, log on. Do it now. And fundraising, you're still fundraising, right?
We're still fundraising, yes.
Yes, because it takes a ton of money.
I would say, but I have watched you go around the state, and money or not.
It looks exhausting.
But yes, it does look exhausting, but you have gotten around the state. You're really talking to the people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. There are some people that I've heard say, she was only the mayor of Cuba. And I just want to say, do you not know how hard it is to be the mayor in a small community where you see everybody being mayor or
where
governor?
They know where you live.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing.
It is. They dump all their dirty laundry on your front step. That happened to me one time. They were mad. Yeah. Because the water.
funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, they do. They know where you live.
I would say, and so being governor, in many ways, is easier with more support because mayor of Cuba always strapped for cash.
Yeah.
Do you know how to manage this? I think you do.
Yeah, I do. I answer this. I tell them I've worked for a nonprofit for the past 10 years. There were times when I was working for Karen. They would ask us as the executive branch, they said, can you guys wait on your paycheck? Because there was not enough donations coming in. So, to me, I'm like, okay, there's not enough. It's not the first time that there hasn't been enough money. I grew up, the one of 7 children. We ate frijoles y tortillas, and so we ate with we did with what we had. And so that's what I think one of the strengths I bring is I know how to do with little or a lot. And so, and having little does not scare me.
But But there totally is a whole lot, because look at all of the money that's just being squandered away. So
gosh.
I mean, if somebody that had New Mexico really in the core of their heart, we would be able to probably move mountains.
Absolutely.
We could.
Absolutely.
Final comment for our listeners.
Guys, just know I'm real. I'm one of you. I love my state. I love you. I'm here fighting for you, and I'm going to do it to the very best of my ability. And just want you to know that I need your support. If you are a Republican, I ask for your vote. This is a Republican primary, June 7th. If you're not, but you like what you hear, I need you. We have till April 30th to change your registration from Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, whatever you are, to Republican, so that you could vote for me. I promise you, I will do the very best job that I can. And you can believe me, I don't make any promises unless I intend to keep them.
So you've been dubbed by the Santa Fe New Mexican as Seabiscuit?
Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit.
Yes.
So if you don't know who Seabiscuit is, look it up.
I would say this is a horse that runs and runs, and you better watch out because they're going to smoke you.
And everybody loves the story of an underdog.
That's right.
Thanks for listening. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back in, we have Patrick Seiss. He is running for the House of Representatives and against Georgina. Is it Georgina?
Georgine Lewis.
Yes, her position. And they've replaced her with another jailbird. Did you know that? They've both been in jail?
Are you talking about her opponent, Eleanor?
I'm saying yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do know. Long story when we come back.
Isn't that crazy, though?
Again,
I wonder if they shared a bunk together, or like, how did that go?
This is leaders who think that New Mexicans, first off, are stupid, and we are not, and second off, that we share these values, and we do not.
Right.
And being a criminal and flaunting the law, as an elected, is probably the biggest insult to New Mexicans.
It's the biggest load of ruckus I've ever heard in my life. Good grief.
Yeah.
Stay there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Hello, New Mexico. This is Mario Montoya with Casa Montoya Realty. When it comes to buying or selling real estate, you need professionals that can guide and educate you through the transaction process. Casa Montoya Realty provides realtors that assist from start to finish, making sure that your real estate transaction is as smooth as possible. As the exclusive Homes for Heroes brokerage in Albuquerque, we are here to give back to our hero buyers and sellers. Call 505-681-3125 or email mario@casamontoyarealty.com to register and for more information.
Hi, this is Leticia Chavez Paulette from A Peaceful Habitation. We are a local nonprofit serving justice-involved women in New Mexico since 2006. I'd like to personally invite you to our Living Your Best Life annual fundraising gala. It's taking place Saturday, April 30th. This is a free event with a silent auction, and all are welcome. For more information and to RSVP, log on to apeacefulhabitation.org. That's apeacefulhabitation.org. Get involved, and together we can make a difference.
Hi, this is Tara Shaver with Abortion Free New Mexico. Did you know that due to the lack of any common sense legislation, minors can freely obtain abortions in our state? And we are drawing women from all across the world here for late-term abortions. This is a call to action. We need your help to stop abortion tourism and to empower women with the resources they need to choose life. Join us in the fight, and together we can build a culture of life.
If you want to help us end abortion in New Mexico,
visit abortionfreenm.com today. That's abortionfreenm.com.
Everybody, welcome back to Off the Cuff ABQ. I'm your host, Dinah Vargas. Writing with me today is Janice Arnold-Jones. What's happening?
Hey, Dinah, what's cooking?
Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah.
I would say, well, actually, there are several somebodies in the kitchen today.
There is.
And it's very exciting. Do I get to say his name?
Yes, absolutely.
I would
Please intro.
say, so, Patrick Seiss is our next guest, and he is running for House District 26. And I am so excited, not only that he is running, but that he will be serving in the legislature. He brings a very fresh perspective for this area.
Absolutely, absolutely, especially in terms of crime, because District 26 is one of those areas that is, well, just riddled with crime all the time. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
We're doing good. Thank you. Thank you. So, what made you decide to run for House of Representatives for District 26?
Well, I've seen the crime rate in our district, the drag racing, and I felt that we needed a change. What we had going on wasn't helping. That area can be developed in major areas. It is being developed right now. But the crime was a big issue. Porch pirates and the drag racing.
And the gunfire.
And the gunfires in the Mesa. All hours of the day and night. Finding dead bodies in the Mesa.
That's right. Recently, they discovered decomposing remains that appear to be there over a year.
Yeah. He was a gentleman that was mental problems and was lost. He got lost in the Mesa and passed away. But besides that, there's the West Mesa High School, the kids that got killed there. The drag racing,
Patrick, when you hear about drag racing in Albuquerque, the news only covers the drag racing on Montgomery. And I live in that area, and so I'm here to tell you that's real and it's scary. I never hear about drag racing in your district. Where does that happen? That is really frightening.
Well, actually, there has been a couple of reports, most recently, I think, on Dennis Chavez and Unser. And so you'll see that they come down Unser, headed southbound, and right at Dennis Chavez, like the intersection, it's so backed up on all sides that cops can't even get to the actual people doing the donuts, assuming the cops show up.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
So yeah, it's on 98th Street. They race down Central all the way down 98th Street to where it ends on Dennis Chavez. Above on 114th Street, there's the dump. They race right there near the
And do they do this all times of the day and night? I mean, on Montgomery, it really doesn't matter.
Well, yeah,
but it's scary.
Yeah, all times of the day. They even out there with those off-road vehicles, those off-terrain racing on 98th and 114th. Also on Central from 9 Mile Hill down, you'll see it all day long. And I've talked to a lot of people, kids. I call them kids because they're younger than me. And when they're talking, they let things out. And every other weekend they get on the freeway and they shut down between I-40 and Rio Bravo. And they shut it down. They put 2 cars up there and they race all the way down to Rio Bravo and they do reopen it. They do that constantly every other weekend and they don't get busted. By the time the police...
Are you telling me that the police know about this and they're not anticipating it and not out there proactively protecting the people of your district and the people of Albuquerque? What is wrong? What is wrong with this picture?
I hope it's not true that they do know, but then again, if they do know, do people really listen to them nowadays? And that's a problem because there's no backing in the police department. You get people that say that they are, but nobody really addresses them. They don't respect them anymore. But I'm hoping that they don't know that, and they're refusing to go help. I hope that's not true.
Have you had a meeting with APD or the Sheriff's Department on this subject?
No, I've tried contacting them, but you just get that runaround. When they don't want to hear something, right?
It's what you call the government runaround. When you're trying to get a hold of somebody, they say, hold on.
Especially when it affects the people of Albuquerque or New Mexico. Once you hit them with something, they're ghost. It's crickets.
Wow.
And it's not right for everybody. But those are issues. As of late, myself, we've had phones delivered to our house. They say they're delivered, but they're gone. They've stolen it. We done, Verizon does investigations, and they found it's been stolen. People try to activate it because they got barcodes underneath. So when they steal it, they try to activate it, and they know it's stolen. So, but that's a big problem too. They go to the houses and they follow the UPS trucks, and it's a bad
so
situation.
as a legislator, what do you think you can do to proactively change some of this? At some point, just talking about it, Patrick, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Our law enforcement agencies have got to act. What can you do to help change this?
Well, I'd like for them to eventually come around and sit down and talk. We need to change the laws in crime.
The 2016 bail bond reform.
2016 reform. That's a big problem. And I want to sit down with
Gerald Madrid
to talk to him about it. I've been trying to contact him, but I know he's busy also, and I'm busy, and we've been playing phone tag, I believe. But I want to sit down with him and discuss that. But we need to change the laws. We really do. And we need to get a strong DA. I don't think people here in Albuquerque or New Mexico realize that the DA has a big push. You see it in New York. You see it in Los Angeles. Those DAs, they're weak. They're weak. And I believe we got a weak DA here. Uses a bunch of...
But he's running for AG, is he not?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Boy, that's a great endorsement.
Fail at one job and jump on to the next.
There you go.
Why not? Because you got what you call name recognition.
For what? A name recognition for what? For crime raising?
Mm-hmm.
For him not putting his foot down? For him using excuses all the time? Oh, my hands are tied? He's the DA. He's supposed to be here protecting us.
The DA, I heard, could indict a ham sandwich. Is this true? It's an old saying.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And if they can't, then what's wrong with them? Because,
exactly.
It's called wokeness. That's what it is. That's what it is. They just don't want to stand up for us. They really don't. Whatever the top from the Washington down to whoever's in charge of your state, if it's a Democrat, they follow the same rules all the way down.
So these are ideologies. So these are what we would call the strongholds of New Mexico. We discussed this earlier. And one of the primary strongholds that New Mexico has from advancing or getting out from being bottom of the barrel, dead last in the nation, literally dead last, is to break the stronghold of the Democratic Party. So you're registered Republican.
I sure am. I've always been.
And
grandfathers.
You're a lifelong New Mexican?
Yep, born and raised here.
Born and raised.
I would say, so where did you go to school?
I went to Albuquerque. I went to San Jose Elementary, Kirtland Elementary School. I went to Wilson Middle School. I was supposed to go to Highland, but I was recruited to Albuquerque High to go play football. So I went over there.
Did you see Janice roaming the hallways during that time? Janice
I would say, but I think he's about 10 years younger.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Albuquerque. You went to Albuquerque too?
Old Albuquerque High School.
The one downtown?
She's
Broadway and Central.
She's a bulldoggy.
Cool. Bulldogs. Woof, woof. Woof, woof.
I'm a Mustang.
I graduated Albuquerque High. Then I moved down to South Valley. Been there for 35 years in the West Side. Coached Yaffle football for my son at Rio Grande High School for a few years under Jimmy. I was assistant. We won 2 Super Bowls, third in the nation. Then I picked up my own schools, which was West Mesa. Then I was recruited at Albuquerque High again to go coach freshman football. Was there for a couple of years. Then went back to school bus driving, tired. And ever since, and all this time, I've always worked with the people, worked with our kids, trying to get them out of crime. If they couldn't afford to get to Yaffle, I would find ways to get them
sponsorships.
Because kids need to be doing something instead of being on their phones. If they're on their phones or not doing anything, they get bored and crime. They want to do crime.
Right. Because something's gonna take their attention if there's not anything for them to do. Which in Albuquerque, it seems like, well, the conditions get worse and worse. So this is sidestepping a little bit, but how do you feel about? Because obviously you're Hispanic, native New Mexican. How do you feel about people who are Democrats that don't understand why you are Republican?
That's a good one.
It's a loaded question.
Well, our culture, you're born in New Mexico, you're supposed to be a Democrat. That's not, it's true to a fact, but in my family, my grandpa's always been Republican, born and raised Republican. I followed it. My grandpa used to have, I guess what they call townhouse meetings in his house. Big shots would go to his house. There was one room in the back of the house that only they could go. We couldn't even go in there to see it.
Right.
But I've seen my grandpa, my grandparents. They were ranchers. Hardworking. I seen it. I used to go in the summer out there and work and mostly play, but supposed to be working. But I was down there.
Right.
I've seen it, and I know what family values is. Hardworking and the path to the future. You can't sit in your thumbs and do nothing and expect the government to bail you out. Too much government. We need to pull back a little bit. Give the power back to the people.
Power to the people. That seems to be a common thread. And often you can only achieve that when you're at the root, because otherwise it's just another campaign. But you are definitely at the roots kind of campaigner. You've been knocking doors. You've been attending events.
Yeah, I've been knocking doors, attending events, trying to set up a few events up on the west side. But I do need a lot of volunteers, people.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at SAIS 4, FOR, that's SAISFOR, District 26 at yahoo.com, or the same SAIS 4 District 26.com.
So SAIS, SAISFOR, District, spelled out?
Yes.
26.com.
.com. On there, you'll find a volunteer list or a list to help out.
Janice just signed up to volunteer with you to knock doors.
Is that so, Janice?
We're going to make it very effective. The truth is when you're campaigning, especially if you've not done this before, making sure that people know you're running is, I know that sounds simple, but it is a real challenge. And just the psychology of actually winning a campaign, in order for people to remember you, you need to talk to them about 7 times. And it sounds daunting because your district's not small. You probably, and I think I ran the numbers, you have about 13,000 registered voters in your district, as I recall. Is that about right?
Is that all? I think it might be more than that.
Maybe 30,000, I believe it was. 38, something like that.
Is it that big? I'd have to go look because and maybe I was just looking at active voters in your district, and even at that, they still need to know who you are.
Yeah.
And so it is. One, I'm biased. There's nothing better than to knock on the door and meet somebody new who becomes a friend. There's just nothing better than that. And if you are a servant and a servant leader, that's what happens.
Well, I enjoy that too, because when you get those certain people that they're like, wow, you're here in front of us talking, you see the excitement in their face,
it
the
makes
engagement,
a difference.
and it's cool. I enjoy that.
It makes a difference.
It does. It really does.
So I have a technical question for you, because I assume you're going to get elected to the legislature. Once you are there, you can't quite do everything, and you're sort of shunted off into some committees. What committees would you ask for that would make you the most effective? Have you thought about it at all?
No, not really. I've looked into the committees, but I haven't really thought about it. I'm just focusing right now and getting in there.
Sure, but it goes very, very fast. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But one of the committees that you might think about, because, and I forget how far south your district goes.
I believe it goes up to the Route 60 south. It goes down to Estrella Reservation.
and it goes all the way out to Route 66. So you have a...
Oh, to include the Pajarito Mesa.
Yeah, it does include the Pajarito Mesa.
And you have Tahajali.
And Tahajali, yeah.
This is... so here's a problem that, some days there is racism in our state, and it's really irritating. But Tahajali has had contaminated wells since I can hardly even remember, and lots of talk about the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Authority finally running a pipeline up there. Is it done?
I don't think so.
Well, I don't think so either.
Because I used to, when I was a school bus driver, and I retired now, about 5 years, 6 years, I used to pick up students from Tahajali and bring them down. You would see there was no power, nothing. It was
like the
wasn't
Pajarito
a life.
Mesa.
It wasn't a life that they had. The floors were made out of sand and nice houses, but it was sand in the inside.
Yeah.
And everyone's sweeping dirt.
Absolutely, and yes. So, but Tahajali has a very famous favorite son, Nota Begay. And and he is now a noted commentator. His son is playing golf, and it's very interesting to talk with Nota. We need to get you connected because somebody who has worked on that issue with great frustration, and to have a servant leader who is willing to. You even know how to say it. You obviously drove there, and many people don't even know. And I know that sounds just so silly, but we don't.
It's true.
It is true that Bernalillo County goes out to Tahajali. It does.
Yeah.
And they are part of us. They are not separate.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you'll make the connection?
Absolutely.
Okay, so she's vouched on air to make that connection for you. Promise made, promise kept.
Yeah.
So what's it going to take to win?
It's going to take all of us together working hard together to make a difference. And once we're in there, we all work together, we will make New Mexico a better place for everyone to live.
So the hard question for every campaign is how much money are you going to have to raise to defeat? In your race, there are two people running on the other side of the ticket. I don't believe there are any independents. And my guess is there is likely going to be a tremendous amount of union money in that race. How are you going to compete? What are you going to do?
Well, I was told I was going to have to raise somewhere between 80 and 100,000 to compete in this race. So I do need help from everybody, individuals, companies.
Can they donate on your website?
You'll be able to hit that button here hopefully by the end of the day.
Any closing comment? Anything you want District 26 or anybody in New Mexico who's conservative that wants to see a change in leadership?
Yeah. Go look me up on my website. And it's work together. It helped me move forward. It's helped us move forward. I need to raise money. You'll see the button on my website, hopefully by the end of the day. Volunteer list is also on the website. My name is Patrick Ben Seiss. I'll be working for the people of District 26. Let's make a difference. Let's go vote in June 6th. Once again, Patrick Ben Seiss, House of Representatives, State House of Representatives 26.
And that's Seiss4district26.com. Click on it. Find out who Patrick B. Seiss is. Donate your time and your money. Put your money where your mouth is. Anybody can complain all damn day on the internet, on the Facebook, on the Crackbook or Facebook or whatever you want to call it. But you're the real deal. You've been out there working in studio with us. I just want to give a quick plug. We have Gina. This is your spouse, and she has been heavily campaigning with you, almost full on. She's practically the campaign manager.
Yeah.
Does she boss you around?
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. No, she's my right hand man. She's there with me 100%.
I got it.
We've been doing this for more than just this year. We've been at it for 3 years.
Right. So that's the end of the show. Thank you, New Mexico, for tuning in. Don't forget that the progressive Democrats are intolerant, trying to divide us. trying to divide the house, and a house that is divided cannot stand. They use words like genocide and culturalism and racism. Mostly they're using the trappings of the environment to negate the fact that New Mexicans have been here for more than 400 years, and we have intermarried, and we have made this unique culture in New Mexico that they are trying to destroy. All of this happened under the policies, under the ideologies, under the strongholds of Democrats, the Democratic Party of New Mexico, not the membership. I'm saying the powers that be. We've been infiltrated. I'd like nothing more than to have my party back, but it doesn't exist. So you must make a change. Start in your house. We'll see you tomorrow for Hijacked, How Dr. King's Dream Became a Nightmare. And if they're not telling the truth from the pulpit, then they should close the church. See you tomorrow, New Mexico.